Okay, welcome to this episode of Conceptual Concepts. Today we're going to be talking about sortition, which is the appointment of officials and lawmakers and leaders by random lottery rather than election or appointment. I first got interested in sortition when I was reading a text by the philosopher Rancière, and he talked about a government by lots. This got me thinking about the possibility of this method, or the possibilities. And so I had proposed what I called the Random House of Representatives. Jesse, could you get that slide? The idea behind this was that we would abolish the House of Representatives and instead have 1,000 U.S. citizens from each state, not from each state, but selected entirely by random rather than by election, and that they would serve only a term or two and have a little bit of time for training. So even if you look at the definition, if our elections is the rule by the elect, by the better, by the good, this is the meaning of an aristocracy. So if you believe that in elections, in a certain sense, you are embracing aristocracy rather than democracy, which is the rule by us, by the people themselves. Now this is under ideal conditions. Very few of us would think that our elections promote the good and the best among us. Rather, we tend to think of us as living in an oligarchy, the rule by the few, by the oligoi. Now, why is it that instead of even in ideal conditions living in aristocracy, do we actually live in an oligarchy where the people that we elect are not even better? Usually this is because power figures out ways to influence the selection process. Okay, slide, Jesse. Sortition, for one, dispenses with elections and thus with campaigns and the corrupting influence of campaign finance. In other words, it lowers the barrier, the entry to nothing. Anyone can be a congressperson with sortition. It also, and I think this is very important, it frees us from partycratic thought, that is party thought. It's polarizations, it's ideologies, and it allows us to vote by conscience rather than loyalty to any one party. It also results necessarily in a more accurate representation of the populace, of the population, of we the people. That is, it dispenses with a political class or a class of professional politicians with their own prejudices, that is to say. It also engages and empowers the populace. That is, if anyone can become a politician, no one feels inherently alienated from the political process. Everyone stands just as good a chance, and we have some faith that someone who represents us will be there to speak our cause. And finally, at least for a little while, it mitigates the corruptions of long entrenched power, that is, career politicians who have had a chance to have their conscience eroded, for example, or to just basically be involved in ways that to be blinded by power and office. Okay, so in the next episode, we're going to talk about some of the problems or the caveats that come up when you do adopt sortition as your method of selection.